its investment value. Now, when I was given this assignment, I chanced two articles by diaspora Kenyans, eminent ones, and they are several years apart, actually about 12 years apart. One was written by Professor Kefa Otiso, June 3rd, 2013. And he wrote in terms of a letter to the president, just like I tried a while back to write a letter to President William Samoei Ruto. I have not yet received a reply, and I don't know whether Professor Otiso did receive a reply when he wrote this open letter. And actually, during the time that he wrote 2013, both President Uhuru Kenyatta and Deputy President William Ruto had ascended into office. And really, when one looks at that letter, it is talking about taxation without representation as far as the diaspora is concerned. And he very eloquently charts out problems that he believes could be remedied by about 7 or so things if they happened, after first of all introducing the problems that have beset the diaspora from time immemorial. And I think it's worth repeating what 12 or so years ago Professor Otiso wrote. He suggested a ministry of overseas Kenyans, so that this was not like part of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. It was an independent ministry to take care of diaspora affairs in all their totality. And this is something, for example, that happens in India. The second thing that he proposed was securing the diaspora vote. And he was anticipating 2017 and, of course, 2022 in terms of how registration could happen and how voting could be enabled so that the voice of the diaspora was evident in terms of securing leadership. And in that letter, he writes, as you know, most diasporans did not vote in the March 4th elections. Such disenfranchisement and continued taxation through their financial and skill remittances without representation in the country's decision-making organ is a grave injustice. And this has been a recurring theme from the diaspora, saying that they participate so much in terms of making Kenya financially stable, in actual fact, often doing what government should do, supporting family, supporting education, supporting many ventures, and creating employment because of the investments that they do. And yet, the government in Kenya and in Africa generally do not seem to recognize that. Thirdly, Professor said that there should be more consular offices in cities with population so that apart from, of course, those serving the diaspora population, they would enhance exports, tourism, and so on and so forth. It would be an investment to make it possible for these countries, for example, America, UK, and so on, to be able to reach a Kenyan office and therefore do business, do whatever they wanted with the country. And he suggested that actually the diaspora population could man or woman those offices. You didn't have to bring people from Kenya and, as a consequence, incur significant expense. He also said that there should be a diaspora census, because without this census, you cannot plan for services. Even when it comes to elections, you do not know, where to make sure that people can access registration and voting. And this was an important contribution that the professor made. And of course, he talked about in the letter representation in government and parliament, so that diaspora people could be invited into government, into parliament, and it could also be flexible so that they don't have to cease being diaspora. They can, mechanisms, because these days there are many things that are being done online and so on. You can, visit the country, and those who want to come and serve in government for a period, and then when that is over, go back, so that there is that flexibility. And he said there should be a forum for Kenyans diaspora to participate in Kenya's development. He cited the example, for example, education research. There are universities here which are struggling, like the public universities, and there are very experienced professors abroad who can easily give online classes and benefit the university system in this country. And unfortunately, some of the universities are kind of collapsing, particularly some of the public universities. And he also talked about the establishment of a Kenya mutual fund, so that even the remittances could be more productively invested. So I think it was a letter written in a way to be convincing, so that leadership could perhaps try to use those ideas. Then 12 years later, Professor David Monda writes a letter in 31st of August 2025, and he's writing about Katiba at 15, and he talks about, of course, the progressive constitution, but its implementation has been underwhelming, that is below par. And actually, one of his interviewees, had this to say, and I quote, "The diaspora is considered a cash cow to be taxed but not hard or represented. We are just to be exploited while being lied to with empty promises of inclusion every election cycle." And therefore, as a consequence, particularly people from Kenya's political class, when it's about election season, will come to they'll come abroad to meet the diaspora population, and usually they come to fundraise and also to talk sweetly to the diaspora, so that they can influence it to make sure that the diaspora asks for support of people at home who rely on the diaspora. And sometimes you might think that they are coming to ask for your vote, but it might not be the case, because they know that they don't want to allow the diaspora to have a lot of votes. But they know that if they convince you that they're good guys, they're good people, then you will send word at home, people that you support and people who will respect your verdict, and therefore they will get votes. Now imagine we said that approximately there are about 4 million diaspora Kenyan citizens abroad. And let us even say about 2 million of them are able to vote if there was a fair system. And even if they will not vote, let us just say that 2 million will be politically active to send the word at home. And if 5 of them, each one of them can influence 5 votes,